I'm running late. The steady tick of my designer watch reminds me with each flick of the wrist as I navigate my new Audi through the tree-lined streets of my childhood neighborhood. My knuckles whiten against the steering wheel when my parents' six-bedroom colonial comes into view, its stately presence looming larger than the actual structure warrants. 28 years old, the youngest senior marketing director in my firm's history, and my stomach still knots like I'm 16 and missed curfew. I check my reflection in the rearview designer blazer crisp, makeup flawless, hair smoothed into submission, armor all of it. The driveway is already full Brandon's Range Rover, Olivia's family SUV, Dad's Mercedes. I park on the street like a visitor, which is exactly what I am these days. 4 visits a year, each one more exhausting than the last. My heels click against the stamped concrete path to the door, the sound sharp and purposeful. I don't knock. I never do. This performative dance of belonging requires certain steps. There she is. Mom's voice carries from the kitchen as I slip inside. We were about to start without you. No hug, no direct eye contact. Just the familiar scent of roasting turkey and cranberry and the undercurrent of disapproval that has always scented the air when I'm present. Sorry, client emergency. The lie slips out easily. Better than admitting I sat in my car for 15 minutes, practicing deep breathing exercises. Always working. Dad appears in the hallway, bourbon in hand, eyes tracking my outfit with familiar appraisal. One of these days, you'll find something more important than that job. My smile stiffens but holds. Nice to see you too, Dad. I follow the sounds of conversation to the dining room, where Olivia is arranging flowers at the center of a table, glittering with Mom's best china and crystal. Brandon sprawls in a chair, phone in hand, barely glancing up as I enter. Savannah, Mom says, appearing behind me, go ahead and sit at the kids' table. We've got a spot for you there. The words hit like a physical blow. I turn slowly, certain I've misheard. But there it is, the plastic folding table set up in the corner of the dining room, ringed with colorful children's chairs and set with themed paper plates. My nieces and nephews aren't even there yet, still playing in the basement from the sounds of distant squeals. The kids' table? My voice emerges steady despite the heat rising in my cheeks. Mom's expression remains pleasant, unbothered. We need the space at the main table for Gregory's parents. They're joining us this year. She gestures to Olivia's in-laws, whom I've met exactly twice. I stand frozen, the memory of this morning's preparation washing over me. The care I took selecting this outfit. The extra time spent on my hair. The pep talk in my bathroom mirror. Just get through today. It's just 4 hours. My apartment had felt like a sanctuary this morning, the framed award on my desk, the notification of my promotion still open on my laptop. My friend Maya's voice on the phone. Why do you still go? Seriously, Savannah, what would happen if you just didn't? Now, trapped in the doorway between escape and humiliation, I consider objecting. My lips part, protest forming on my tongue. Brandon looks up from his phone, catching my expression. His eyes narrow slightly, a familiar look that says, don't make a scene. The same look he gave me when I tried to explain my first gallery showing, when I announced my promotion, when I bought my apartment without parental financial support. Fine. The word tastes bitter. I force my feet to move toward the children's table, acutely aware of every eye not watching me, of the deliberate conversations continuing as if this is normal. As if this isn't a statement written in plastic and paper. I lower myself into a chair meant for a child, knees nearly touching my chest, the edge of the table hitting at an awkward height that forces me to hunch. My niece's unicorn plate sits before me, the cartoon eyes seeming to mock my discomfort. The children filter in, eyes wide with confusion at finding an adult at their designated table. My 7-year-old nephew Ben tilts his head. Aunt Savannah, why are you sitting with us? I swallow hard. Just mixing things up. At the main table, conversation flows without interruption. Mom leans toward Olivia. How's the baby sleeping these days? Brandon, Dad's voice carries. Tell Gregory about that promotion. Glasses clink as my father raises his in a toast. To family success, he says, his gaze touching everyone but me. The adults murmur in agreement, a chorus I'm not part of. I watch them from my exile, the realization settling cold and heavy in my stomach. This table, this ridiculous, child-sized plastic throne eyes, the perfect symbol for my entire life in this family. Always adjacent, never included, tolerated, never celebrated. My 7-year-old niece Lucy bumps her juice cup, sending a purple wave across the table and directly onto my cream silk blouse. The cold seeps through immediately, grape juice bleeding into expensive fabric. Sorry, Aunt Savannah. Her little face crumples with genuine remorse. It's okay, sweetie. I dab at the spreading stain with a paper napkin, the material disintegrating against wet silk. Something breaks inside me, not dramatically, but with a quiet finality, like ice shifting beneath the surface of a frozen lake. I stand up, the child's chair scraping against hardwood. I fold my paper napkin carefully, placing it beside the cartoon plate. Mom glances over, brow furrowing. Savannah, is something wrong with your seat? I don't answer. My steps are measured as I walk to the hallway closet and retrieve my coat. I can feel their eyes now, finally seeing me as I prepare to disappear. Some traditions aren't worth preserving. The door closes behind me with a soft click instead of the slam my trembling hands want to deliver. Restraint, my lifelong companion. Savannah, where are you going? My mother's voice carries through the front window, that perfect pitch of controlled outrage that's fooled country club friends for decades. I turn, meeting her eyes through the glass. I'm leaving. Enjoy your dinner. Simple words. No dramatics. Just truth delivered without padding or apology. My hands shake as I slide the key into the ignition. The Audi purrs to life, its gentle vibration steadying me as I pull away from the curb. The silence in the car wraps around me, unfamiliar and terrifying. 28 years of family Thanksgivings, and I've never once left early. My phone buzzes before I reach the first stoplight. Then again, and again. By the time I'm 3 blocks away, the notifications have become a continuous hum against my thigh. My family's collective outrage transmitted through cellular waves. At a red light, I glance down. Brandon, stop acting like a child, come back. The irony would be amusing if it weren't so painful. I was literally sitting at a children's table 10 minutes ago, but I'm the one acting childish. My voicemail indicator flashes. I tap it, putting it on speaker while I drive. Savannah, my father's voice fills the car, bourbon rough. Enough of this nonsense. Get home now. Not a request a command issued to an underling, not a successful adult woman. 2 more texts arrive in quick succession. Olivia, Mom is freaking out. Just come back and talk. You're ruining dinner. The family group chat explodes with messages. What is going on with her? She's always been so sensitive. Should we be worried? This is so embarrassing with Gregory's parents here. My exit wasn't about creating a scene, but their responses reveal how thoroughly they misunderstand me. I don't want drama, I just wanted a place at the table. A real place. I drive without destination until neon lights catch my eye, a 24-hour diner glowing against the darkening November sky. The parking lot is half full, other holiday refugees seeking sanctuary from family obligations. The warmth hits me as I step into not just physical heat, but something more essential. The waitress looks up from wiping a counter, her eyes taking in my designer clothes. The mascara smudge I can feel beneath my right eye. Honey, you look like you could use some coffee. She doesn't ask what's wrong or why I'm alone on Thanksgiving, just slides a mug in front of me as I settle into a booth. And maybe a slice of pie, she adds, her smile genuine in a way my mother's never is. That would be perfect. My voice cracks on the words. While waiting, I scroll through my phone's photo gallery. Each swipe reveals another family gathering, where the pattern is clear once I allow myself to see it. Christmas 3 years ago. Everyone clustered around the tree while I stand slightly apart, half-cropped from the frame. My college graduation, my parents flanking my siblings in the foreground while I hold my honors diploma just out of focus. I screenshot a text from my mother from last year. How's that little job going? Still enjoying playing businesswoman? Senior marketing director? Youngest in company history. But in her eyes, I'm playing pretend. I find the email from my father, sent to Brandon and Olivia but accidentally copying me. Investment opportunity too complex to include Savannah. You know she wouldn't understand it anyway. My calendar reveals the pattern 2-8 consecutive family events where I was seated at a side table, at the end of the row, or literally in another room. The pie arrives, golden crust and tart cherries, as I compose my message to the family group chat. I select the Christmas photo, the one where I'm half-cropped out, and type a caption. The perfect family, always making sure the youngest one knows her place. I continue typing. My fingers steady now. This isn't just about the table. I've been treated like an afterthought my entire life. When you all actually see me as an equal, let me know. My thumb hovers over the send button. This single action will fracture 28 years of acquiescence. Once sent, there's no pretending anymore. No more good daughter who swallows indignities with a smile. I press send, then power off my phone completely. The pie tastes better than any Thanksgiving meal I can remember. I savor each bite, leaving a generous tip before walking back to my car. My spine feels straighter, my shoulders lowered from their perpetual defensive hunch. Savannah? Savannah Reeves? I turned to find Mark Connolly, my lab partner from AP Chemistry, now a pediatrician according to the occasional social media glimpse. Mark, hi. He studies my face with professional assessment. You look different, lighter somehow. I smile, surprised to find it genuine. I finally put down something heavy I've been carrying for years. He nods like he understands, though he couldn't possibly know what transpired today. But maybe he recognizes the universal look of someone who's finally chosen themselves after years of self-abandonment. As I drive toward homie home, not theirs, I wonder what happens next. Will I withstand the guilt storm that's surely brewing? Will I cave when my mother cries or my father threatens? Or will this be the first day of a new chapter where I finally stand my ground? The night sky opens above me, vast and full of possibilities I never allowed myself to see, while squeezing into spaces too small to contain me. I drop my keys into the ceramic bowl by the door, a piece I bought from a local artist to celebrate my first promotion. The sound echoes through my apartment, bouncing off the exposed brick walls that I fell in love with 3 years ago when I signed the lease without a cosigner. Without my parents' approval. My designer blazer slides from my shoulders, heavy with the weight of today's confrontation. I hang it carefully in the closet, muscle memory preserving the expensive fabric, even as my mind races with the gravity of what I've done. I've never walked out before, not once in 28 years. My apartment glows with the warm light of success they refuse to acknowledge the framed marketing award on my office wall. The signed prints from campaigns that doubled client revenue, the sleek furniture I selected and purchased myself. No hand-me-downs. No parental subsidies. I kick off my heels and pad across the hardwood to the living room wall, where family photos hang in artful arrangement. Mom insisted I display them during her only visit, so you don't forget where you came from, Savannah. My fingers trace the gilt frame of last year's Christmas portrait, Brandon and Olivia flanking our parents, their spouses and children arranged in perfect formation. And Mess slightly off-center, half a step behind the group, my smile not quite reaching my eyes. I lift the frame and remove it from its hook. One by one, I take down each family photo, creating a stack on my coffee table. Not destroyed, just removed from my daily sightline. The wall looks strangely empty, but I feel fuller somehow. My phone sits dark and silent on the counter where I abandoned it hours ago. The notification light blinks accusing word, red, red. I leave it there and open a bottle of wine instead. Tonight, I sleep uninterrupted by family-induced anxiety for the first time in memory. No 3 a.m. spiral of imagined criticisms. No mental rehearsal of responses to potential jabs. Just darkness and peace, and the distant sound of city traffic below my window. Morning light streams through my eastern windows, painting golden patterns across my bedspread. I stretch, muscles relaxed in a way that feels foreign after years of tension. For a moment, I forget yesterday's upheaval and simply exist in the warmth. Then reality returns, and with it, a strange sensation in my chest. Not the familiar tightness of dread, but something lighter. Something that feels dangerously like freedom. I shower, dress in soft lounge clothes, and make coffee before approaching my phone. The blinking light has become frantic texts, calls, voicemails accumulating throughout the night. I take a deep breath and press the power button. The notifications flood my screen in a digital avalanche of family reaction. Dad, 6:42 p.m. Where did you go? Call your mother immediately. Dad, 7:15 p.m. Your mother is devastated. Fix this now. Mom, 6:38 p.m. Savannah, please come back. We're worried about you. Mom, 8:24 p.m. I don't understand why you're making this into such a big deal. It was just a table arrangement. Brandon, 7:03 p.m. Way to ruin dinner. Mom's upset and Dad's furious. Nice work. Brandon, 10:17 p.m. If you thought this would make us respect you more, you're wrong. You're acting like a child. Olivia, 6:55 p.m. Where are you? Mom's freaking out. Olivia, 8:42 p.m. Do you realize how selfish you're being? Mom can't stop crying. The messages escalate through the evening, concern morphing to anger, then outright threats. Dad's final text suggests reconsidering financial support I haven't received since college. My brother questions my mental stability. My sister invokes family loyalty as if it's a one-way obligation. I scroll through them with growing clarity, seeing the manipulation tactics laid bare. The guilt, the gaslighting, the collective rewriting of reality where I'm the villain for refusing to accept the unacceptable. Then a text from an unexpected sender stops my thumb mid-scroll. Emma, 13, Olivia's daughter. I get it, Aunt Sav. They make me feel invisible too. My breath catches. I read it 3 times, my niece's simple words cutting through the noise of adult accusations. She sees it too, the subtle exclusion, the dismissal of worth. My phone vibrates with an incoming call. The name surprises me. Aunt Vivian, Dad's sister, who disappeared from family gatherings years ago. The black sheep who chose career over children and paid the price in familial currency. Savannah? It's Vivian. Her voice sounds both foreign and familiar, a blood connection speaking through years of absence. Aunt Viv. It's been 6 years, I know. Your cousin Marcus showed me your message. About the kids' table. She pauses, her breath audible through the connection. I want you to know you're not crazy. The validation hits me like a physical force. I sink onto my couch, emotions threatening to overcome my careful composure. I went through the same thing when I chose career over kids, she continues. Your father and mother couldn't reconcile my choices with their worldview, so they simply reduced me. Made me smaller. Put me at the metaphorical kids' table until I stopped coming to dinner altogether. Memories surface of childhood questions about Aunt Vivian's absence. She doesn't care about family, was the standard response. A simple explanation that absolved everyone else of responsibility. I always wondered why you stopped visiting, I admit, voice barely above a whisper. Same reason you walked out yesterday. Dignity has a breaking point, Savannah. After we hang up, I pull my journal from the desk drawer and open to a blank page. At the top, I write boundaries in bold capitals, then begin listing them with surprising clarity. 1. I will only attend family gatherings where I'm treated as an equal adult. 2. I will no longer accept dismissive comments about my career. 3. I will meet on neutral ground, not the family home. The list grows, each boundary a brick in the foundation of my self-respect. When it's complete, I call my therapist for an emergency session. Then my friend Maya, who answers with immediate concern. I did it, I tell her. I finally walked out. Holy shit, Sav, she breathes. I'm so proud of you. 2 hours later, I find myself on an online forum for adults navigating family estrangement. The stories mirror mine with eerie similarity, the consistent exclusion, the subtle undermining, the moment of clarity that triggered action. I'm not alone in this experience. Not broken or overly sensitive. Just human, with normal human limits. By evening, I've compiled evidence of the pattern photos, text screenshots, a timeline of incidents spanning years. I practice responses to anticipated arguments. I'm not angry. I'm establishing boundaries. This isn't about one dinner. It's about a lifetime of exclusion. I'm not asking for special treatment, just equal treatment. I arranged to meet them at a coffee shop downtown public, neutral, time limited. I text Maya to check on me halfway through. My phone rings just after 9. Mom's name flashes on the screen. I let it ring 3 times, centering myself before answering. Hello, Mom. Savannah. Her voice is controlled, the practiced tone of someone who believes they hold the power. Your father and I have decided we're willing to forgive you for yesterday's display. The old Savannah would have accepted this opening, grateful for any path back to approval. But that version of me sat at a folding kids' table and accepted paper plates, while adults dined on china. I inhaled deeply, feeling my spine straighten. That's interesting, I reply, my voice steady and clear, because I'm still deciding if I'm willing to forgive you. The silence that follows stretches so long, I check to see if the call disconnected. But Nosha's there, breathing, recalibrating a world where her youngest daughter has suddenly, irrevocably changed the script. It was just a table, Savannah. My mother's voice through the phone carries that familiar dismissive tone, the one that's diminished my experiences since childhood. I grip my phone tighter, pacing the hardwood floors of my apartment. The space I bought myself, the life I built without their help or approval. It wasn't just a table, Mom. My voice remains steady, practiced from hours of rehearsal with my therapist. It was what the table represented. You're being dramatic. I'm being honest. I stopped pacing, standing tall beside the framed marketing award on my wall. The kids' table was just the final insult in a pattern that's existed my entire life. I tick off the evidence I've compiled in my journal. You excluded me from Brandon's investment group because, and I quote, "It's for people with real careers." You introduced Olivia as your successful daughter at the Christmas party last year while I stood right beside you. You've seated me away from adults at every family gathering since I turned 18. The silence on the other end stretches long enough that I check to see if she's hung up. That's not how it happened, she finally says, but her voice lacks its usual conviction. I have the texts, Mom. I have photos. I have emails. I trace my finger along the compass tattoo on my wrist me private reminder to follow my own direction. This isn't about one dinner. This is about 28 years of being treated as less than. She shifts to Gilther, next defensive tactic. After everything we've done for you, what exactly have you done for me lately? The question slips out sharper than intended, but I don't retract it. My apartment? Bought it myself? My education? Scholarship. My car? My savings. My career? Completely self-made. Another silence. Then, what do you want from us, Savannah? The question catches me off guard not because it's unexpected, but because it's the first time she's ever asked what I want. I want to be treated with the same respect you give Brandon and Olivia. My voice softens but remains firm. I want my achievements acknowledged. I want a seat at the actual table literally and figuratively. I hear her inhale sharply, and in that breath, I sense the first crack in her armor. She knows her usual tactics aren't working. My phone buzzes with a group text from Brandon that evening. Emergency family meeting tomorrow night. We need to discuss the Savannah situation. 7 p.m., Mom and Dad's. Savannah not invited. I smile despite myself. The family is scrambling. An hour later, my 13-year-old niece sends a screenshot of their living roomy parents, Brandon, and Olivia huddled in intense conversation. Her message reads, "They're freaking out, Aunt Sav. Dad keeps saying you're ruining the family." Grandma cried, "It's better than Netflix." The next morning, one of my father's golf buddies mentions the situation during a client meeting. "Robert says things are tense with your family right now," he says awkwardly. "Hope it all works out." When I check Facebook, my mother has posted a vague plea for prayers during this difficult family time. The comments flood with sympathetic responses, friends asking what happened, offering support without knowing the situation. They're losing control of the narrative, and it terrifies them. I spend 3 hours crafting my email. Each word precisely chosen, each example meticulously documented. I attach family photos spanning years images that clearly show the pattern of my exclusion. When finished, I address it to my entire extended family, not just my parents and siblings. I love you all, but I love myself enough to demand respect. I write in closing, then press send before doubt can creep in. Responses trickle in throughout the day. My cousin Michael. "I've watched this happen for years and never said anything. I'm sorry, Savannah." My father's sister who stopped attending family functions years ago. "It took courage to say what I never could. Proud of you, niece." Even my mother's best friend sends a private message. "Your mother and I have been friends for 30 years, but you're absolutely right. I've seen how they treat you." I hadn't expected allies. I prepared to stand alone. "Can we talk?" Olivia's voice sounds different on the phone. Smaller. I'm listening. I curl up in my reading chair, guard still up. "I've been thinking about things." She pauses. "About how we've treated you." I wait, refusing to fill the silence. "Greg mentioned something last night," she continues. "He said he's always been confused about why you're treated differently. He thought maybe there was some history I never told him." "And what did you say?" I couldn't think of a reason. Her voice cracked slightly. "I never thought about how it looked from your side. I just accepted that's how it was." It's not exactly an apology, but it's the first crack in the family's united front. When the formal invitation arrives in my email, I almost laugh out loud. The Reeves family requests the pleasure of your company for a family discussion dinner. Seating arranged by Savannah Reeves. The location is a neutral restaurant downtown, not the family home where they hold home court advantage. The time works with my schedule, not theirs. Every detail acknowledges my new position of power. I smile as I type my response. I accept. For the first time in my life, they're playing by my rules. Now I'll discover if my family is capable of genuine change, or if I'll need to create a life without them in it. The ball is finally in my court, and I'm ready to serve. I arrive at Marcello's 20 minutes early, my heels clicking against polished marble as the hostess leads me to the table I specifically requested when making the reservation. Round. Equal. No head, no foot, no hierarchy built into the furniture itself. Perfect, I tell her, sliding my blazer from my shoulders. The material is expensive, a power color that makes my skin glow. Armor again, but different this time. Battle dress rather than camouflage. I place the name cards with deliberate care. My fingers don't tremble at all, which surprises me. My position at the symbolic north. Parents flanking me. Brandon and Olivia across. The geography of confrontation, mapped with cardstock and calligraphy. The restaurant hums with quiet conversation. The discreet clinking of silverware against fine china. I check my watch. 7 minutes. I smooth my napkin across my lap, straighten the butter knife that's already perfectly aligned. 6 minutes. I resist the urge to reach for my phone, to check for a last-minute cancellation text. When they arrive together, of course I don't stand. Savannah. Mom's voice wavers between greeting and question. Dad's eyes narrow as they scan the table arrangement, the placed cards. Brandon's jaw tightens. Olivia clutches her purse strap a fraction tighter. Thank you for coming, I say, my voice steady. Professional. The voice I use in boardrooms, not family dining rooms. Please, sit. They hesitate, caught in the unfamiliar dynamic, but then one by one, they follow my direction. Not one of them questions the seating arrangement. First victory. Dad clears his throat as soon as they've settled, launching into what sounds like a rehearsed speech. I think we all agree that family unity is what matters most here. We need to incident and focus on healing together. Your father's right, Mom adds, her eyes already glistening with practiced tears. This has been devastating for all of us, Savannah. We've always been such a close family. Brandon leans forward, elbows on the table. Some people are just more sensitive than others. Not everything needs to be a federal case. What Brandon means, Olivia jumps in, her smile tight, is that we all love you, and surely we can find a middle ground without all this drama. I take a sip of water, letting the silence stretch until they grow uncomfortable in it. I've prepared for this exact moment, rehearsed it in my bathroom mirror until the words feel natural. I'd like to establish some ground rules for our conversation, I say, placing my glass down precisely on its water ring. Each person speaks only for themselves. No one interrupts. And we focus on specific behaviors, not character assessments. Dad starts to object, but I hold up my hand. He stops mid-syllable. Second victory. For 28 years, I've been systematically excluded from full participation in this family. The children's table at Thanksgiving was simply the most literal manifestation of a pattern that's existed my entire adult life. I meet each of their eyes in turn. Can anyone explain why a 28-year-old successful woman should sit at a children's table? The silence that follows is devastating in its completeness. Mom's fingers worry at her napkin. Dad examines his water glass as if it holds answers. Brandon shifts uncomfortably. Olivia stares at her lap. I guess, Mom finally says, her voice small. I never really saw you as fully adult without a husband. That's how I was raised. A woman becomes a woman when she has a family of her own. Dad's admission comes gruffly. In my day, success meant family, not just career. I built something that will outlast me. Your job. It's just not the same. Maybe, Brandon adds, surprising me with his hesitancy. I've been intimidated by how easily everything comes to you. You didn't need connections or Dad's help like I did. It was easier to dismiss your achievements than admit that. Olivia's eyes shine with actual tears now, not the performative ones she usually deploys. I knew it wasn't fair, how we treated you. But changing it meant acknowledging my part in it. She reaches across the table, stops short of touching my hand. I'm sorry, Savannah, truly. I absorbed their words, feeling something shift inside me. Not forgiveness exactly, but recognition. The first honest conversation we've had in decades. Moving forward, I say, my voice firm but not unkind. I need certain boundaries respected. I will participate in family gatherings as an equal adult. My career and life choices will be respected, even if they're not understood. I expect acknowledgement of my achievements the same way Brandon's and Olivia's are celebrated. I fold my hands on the table. I want a relationship with all of you, but it has to be mutual respect or nothing at all. I won't hesitate to walk away again if old patterns reemerge. They exchange glances, having a silent conversation I've been excluded from countless times before. Finally, Dad nods. "You've certainly grown up, Savannah," he says, the closest thing to approval I've ever heard from him. I meet his gaze steadily. "I've been grown. You're just finally seeing it." The check arrives, placed exactly between Dad and me. I reach for it before he can, sliding my credit card inside the leather folder without checking the amount. The symbolism isn't lost on any of us. When the waiter walks away, Mom touches my wrist hesitantly. "Do you think it's really possible to change how we've always been?" The question hangs in the air between us, honest in a way I never expected. I don't have a simple answer, and for once, I don't try to manufacture one. Is it ever really possible to change decades-old family dynamics? Or am I setting myself up for disappointment? My kitchen bustles with movement and conversation, a symphony of life that fills my apartment. The scent of roasting turkey mingles with cranberry and fresh herbs, familiar yet somehow new. I check my designer watch, no longer counting the minutes until escape, but noting that everything is right on schedule. "Aunt Savannah, is this enough sage for the stuffing?" Lucy stands on a step stool beside me, her 13-year-old hands carefully measuring herbs. "Perfect." I squeeze her shoulder. "You've got a natural talent for cooking." The dining table stretches through the living area of my apartment, a single expansive surface with chairs for everyone. No plastic folding tables in sight. No exile to the corner. Mom appears at my elbow, casserole dish in hand. "Where would you like this, Savannah?" The question still catches me off guard, even a year later. "On the sideboard, please. We'll bring everything to the table together." She follows my direction without comment, placing her famous green bean casserole exactly where I've indicated. The small victory still feels monumental. Dad hovers near my wine rack, bourbon untouched in his hand. "That advertising campaign you developed for the Children's Hospital, quite impressive. My golf partner's son works in marketing at NYU. He mentioned it." I don't miss how he struggles to maintain eye contact, how his fingers tap against his glass. But the words are genuine. "Thanks, Dad. It increased donations by 37%. Brandon appears from the living room, phone absent for once. "Savannah, got a minute? I'm considering a lateral move to Thompson & Brooks. The pay cut would be temporary, but the creative opportunities." He trails off, uncertainty flickering across his face. I nearly drop the serving spoon, Brandon asking me for career advice. "It depends on your 5-year plan. Thompson's digital division is expanding rapidly." Olivia approaches, her newest edition cradled against her shoulder. "Would you mind holding her while I help set up? She's been fussy all morning, but she seems to like you." Without waiting for an answer, she places the infant in my arms. Not as an afterthought babysitter, but as a trusted equal. The weight feels right somehow. "We understand each other, don't we?" I whisper to the baby, who blinks solemnly up at me. "This place is gorgeous," Dad comments, gesturing around my apartment. "Smart investment in this neighborhood." Mom reappears from the dining area, measuring spoons in hand. "Savannah, could you sit the children?" She freezes mid-sentence, color draining from her face. The room goes silent. Every eye turns toward us. Mom swallows, then corrects herself. "Actually, I'd love your help arranging everyone together. You always know exactly where people should be." Our eyes meet, understanding passing between us. "Happy to," I reply, accepting both her correction and what it represents. My best friend Maya emerges from the guest bathroom, her presence alongside my family no longer strange but essential. My father's sister absent from family gatherings for nearly a decade chats comfortably with Olivia's in-laws near the window. I catch my niece explaining to Maya's daughter. "My aunt taught us about boundaries," her voice swelling with pride. Slipping away for a moment, I stand alone in my kitchen. Last year's humiliation at the kids' table flashes through my mind: the plastic chair, the cartoon plate, the physical manifestation of how they saw me. I pull my gratitude journal from the drawer and write a single line. "Today I sat at the table I deserve." When we gather for the meal, hands linked around my table, Dad asks what we're each thankful for. When my turn comes, I say simply, growth, in all of us. The glances exchanged around the table speak volumes. Some traditions deserve to be broken, so better ones can be built. My place card stands at the head of the table, my name written in my own hand.
The unfamiliar car sits in the driveway like an accusation. Black BMW, mud-spattered, with one of those stick figure family decals on the back window. I pull in behind it, my knuckles white against the steering wheel. Something's wrong. Mom and Dad, Don't drive a BMW. I sit in my car for a moment, listening to the tick of the cooling engine. 4 years of mortgage payments flash through my mind. $420,000 house, countless overtime hours, a bank account that never seems to grow, all for my parents to have a stable retirement home. That was the deal. The spare key feels cold in my palm as I approach the front door. Voices drift through the waltz, a man's laughter, a woman's higher response. Not my parents. My stomach knots as I slide the key into the lock and push the door open. The living room has changed. Gone is the faded floral couch I helped my mother select 4 years ago. In its place sits a sleek leather sectional I've never seen before. And on it, beer in hand, lounges my younger brother, Logan. Audrey? He looks up, surprise flickering across his face before settling into that familiar, easy smile. Didn't know you were coming by today. I stand frozen in the entryway. What are you doing in Mom and Dad's house? A pregnant woman emerges from the kitchen, her hand resting protectively over her rounded belly. She stops when she sees me, confusion evident in her wide eyes. Logan? She questions. It's just my sister, he says with a dismissive wave. Audrey, this is Melissa, my fiancé. I barely register the introduction. What are you doing in my parents' house? I repeat, my voice sharper. Logan raises an eyebrow, taking a casual sip of his beer. You mean my house? Mom and Dad moved out last month. They're renting a place closer to the lake. The floor seems to tilt beneath me. Your house? My hands tremble as I pull out my phone, stepping into the hallway for privacy. Mom answers on the fourth ring, her voice immediately defensive when she hears mine. Oh, Audrey, yes, we were going to tell you eventually. Tell me what exactly? My voice sounds distant, like it belongs to someone else. That you gave away the house I've been paying for? To Logan? Now, don't be dramatic. Put Dad on the phone. A rustling sound, then my father's gruff voice. Audrey, what's this about? The house, Dad. The house I'm paying $2,400 a month for. Why is Logan living there claiming it's his? A pause, then. Logan needs the house more than you do. He's starting a family. The casual way he says it, like we're discussing borrowing a sweater instead of a home. I've sacrificed everything for makes my vision blur at the edges. I signed the mortgage papers. I've been making payments for 4 years. We had an agreement. Agreements change. Mom's voice cuts in. She must have picked up the other line. You have a great job. You'll make that money back. He doesn't have the same opportunities you do. My mind flashes back to the day I signed those papers. The pride in my parents' eyes as I committed to the $420,000 mortgage. Their promises that this would be their forever home, that my help was the greatest gift a daughter could give. How I believed them. I've paid over $100,000 toward that house, I say, my voice barely audible. And we appreciate it, Dad says, sounding anything but appreciative. But family helps family. Logan needs a place for his baby. I end the call without another word, walk past my brother and his pregnant fiancée, and leave without looking back. My apartment feels small and shabby after the house my house, with its gleaming hardwood floors and spacious rooms. I open my laptop, pull up the spreadsheet I've maintained religiously for 4 years. The numbers mock me. 4 years of mortgage payments, $115,200. Extra principal payments to help pay down the loan faster, $24,800. Property taxes I've covered, $18,400. Repairs and maintenance, $12,600. Over $170,000 gone. Money that could have paid off my $60,000 student debt twice over. Money that could have been a down payment on my own place. Instead, I've been living in this one-bedroom apartment with the dripping bathroom faucet and the neighbor who practices drums at midnight. I scroll through photos on my phone from when I first started this arrangement. There I am with overtime-shadowed eyes, taking on consulting projects on weekends while my friends went to concerts and traveled abroad. Skipping vacations, choosing store-brand groceries, declining dinners out all to make those extra payments. A text lights up my phone screen. The gutters need replacing. Send $1,200 by Friday, Dad. I open my banking app, finger hovering over the transfer button, as I've done countless times before. My gaze drifts around my apartment, the patched IKEA furniture. the outdated microwave that takes 3 minutes to heat a cup of coffee, the single good suit I wear to client meetings and wash by hand to make it last. The realization dawned slowly, then all at once, settling into my bones with cold clarity. They never saw me as a daughter. I was just an ATM. I closed the app without making the transfer. Almost immediately, my phone buzzes with another text from Dad. Did you get my message? Need the money by Friday. Then another, Audrey, and another. Your mother is worried about the gutters. Call us. I set my phone face down on the table, and for the first time in 4 years, I ignore it. Steam rises from my latte as I stare at Mia's widening eyes across the table. Her mouth hangs open, coffee forgotten. They did what? Her voice cuts through the ambient chatter of the cafe. I trace the rim of my cup, unable to meet her gaze. Gave the house to Logan, just handed it over. Like my payments meant nothing. Mia slams her palm on the table, rattling our cups. Audrey, you need to call the bank immediately. This isn't just unfair, it's financial abuse. Financial abuse. The words hang between us, giving shape to something I felt but never named. This isn't the first time, I say quietly. The memory surfaces like a bruise being pressed. 3rd grade, my straight-A report card clutched in small fingers, proudly presented to my parents. This is expected, not exceptional, Audrey, Mom had said, barely glancing at it before returning to her magazine. That same year, Logan brought home a report card spotted with D's and a single CGO1. Dad took him for ice cream to celebrate his improvement. I shake my head, returning to the present. At my college graduation, Dad pulled me aside. Now it's time to start paying us back for everything we've done, he said. Not congratulations, not we're proud of you. Mia reaches across the table, squeezing my hand. The house wasn't the beginning, was it? It was just the biggest ask in a pattern. Every bonus, every raise, they somehow knew about it before I'd even deposited the check. The water heater, the roof repair, Logan's car insurance. Call the bank. Mia enunciates each word. Today. The mortgage specialist's office smells of artificial vanilla and printer toner. Miss Winter scrolls through my account, her professional smile fading with each click. Miss Chen, there's something unusual here. She turns the monitor so I can see. These extra payments you've been making, they should have reduced your principal significantly by now. My throat tightens. And they haven't? She shakes her head, frowning. According to our records, additional funds were withdrawn shortly after each extra payment posted. The room tilts slightly. Withdrawn by whom? The joint account holders. Her voice softens. Your parents. She pulls up a detailed statement highlighting transactions in yellow. $750 in January, $1,200 in February, $800 in March. The yellow highlights blur as tears threaten. Over $30,000 of my extra payments diverted to my parents' personal expenses. Money I thought was building equity. Money I sacrificed vacations, new clothes, even proper dental work to provide. My phone buzzes with a text from Mom. The refrigerator broke. We need $3,000 for a new one. I slide the phone face down onto Miss Winter's desk, suddenly unable to breathe properly. Miss Chen, she says gently, these payments were supposed to reduce the principal. Instead, they've been treating your account like a cash withdrawal service. I look up, finding unexpected compassion in her eyes. What options do I have? My voice sounds distant, hollow. Legally, you have no obligation to pay a mortgage on a property you don't own, the financial advisor says, placing her business card on my coffee table. Your name isn't on the deed, only the loan. The arrangement was predatory from the start. I curl deeper into my couch, wrapping my arms around myself. But they're my parents, who have stolen over $30,000 from you, beyond the regular mortgage payments. She leans forward. Miss Chen, if a stranger did this to you, you'd press charges. Sunlight streams through my apartment window, illuminating dust motes that dance in the air. For a moment, I watch them, remembering how trapped I've felt these past 4 years. Working overtime until my eyes burned, declining dinners with friends, watching my savings account hover near zero, while I sent thousands to my parents each month. What would happen if I just stopped paying? The question emerges softly, like a forbidden thought. The bank would eventually foreclose. Your parents would face consequences for their failure to pay. Your credit would take a hit, but you're young enough to recover. For the first time in years, Possibility unfurls in my chest. I open my laptop, create a new email. To Mom, Dad. Subject: mortgage payments. As of today, I will no longer be making payments on the house. Audrey. My hand hovers over the trackpad, trembling but resolute. I click send. The weight that lifts from my shoulders is so sudden and complete that I gasp. I close the laptop and block their numbers on my phone in rapid succession before doubt can creep back in. They're counting on your guilt to control you, Jennifer says, spearing a forkful of salad across the break room table. My mother did the same thing for years. She borrowed my first paycheck to pay bills and never stopped asking. I pushed my lunch around my plate. How did you break free? I moved 2,000 miles away and changed my number. Jennifer smiles ruefully. Extreme, but effective. The hardest part was accepting I wasn't the villain in the story. My boss stops by our table, his gaze lingering on my exhausted face. Audrey, everything okay? You seem distracted lately. Just some family issues, I manage. He nods. Take some personal days, handle whatever's going on. Your work will be here when you get back. That night, I curl into my bed, expecting the usual anxiety to keep me awake. Instead, I sleep deeply for the first time in years, dreamless and peaceful, despite the uncertainty ahead. My phone stays silent. No texts, no calls, no demands disguised as family obligation. The foreclosure clock is ticking, and my parents have no idea what's coming. But for now, in this moment, I am finally free. My phone vibrates for the fourth time this hour. I glance at the screen, grandmother. The third call from her today. I let it ring through to voicemail, just like the others. When the notification appears, I press play, holding the phone slightly away from my ear. Audrey, it's Grandma again. Her voice quavers with practiced emotion. How could you make your parents homeless after everything they've done for you? Call me back immediately, young lady. I delete the message and set my phone face down on my desk. The small action feels monumental. 12 weeks since I stopped paying the mortgage. 12 weeks of relative peace shattered by an artillery barrage of guilt from my extended family. I've received 28 voicemails, 43 texts, and 17 emails, each one more desperate than the last. My uncle's message from yesterday still echoes in my mind. You'll be cut off from this family forever if you don't fix this situation. I almost laughed when I heard it. Cut off from what exactly? The privilege of being treated like an ATM? My laptop dings with a new email notification from my father. Audrey, after everything we sacrificed for your education, this is how you repay us? Your mother can hardly sleep at night worrying about where we'll end up. I hope your selfishness brings you comfort while your family suffers. Dad. I closed the email without responding. 3 months ago, this would have set me into a spiral of guilt and anxiety. Now, I recognize it for what it is, another attempt to manipulate me into resuming payments. My phone buzzes with a text from a number I don't recognize, but the content makes the sender obvious. It's Logan. You're being selfish. I can't afford this payment. I add his new number to my block list. He must have borrowed someone else's phone after I blocked his last 3 numbers. The irony doesn't escape me. He can't afford the payment, but I was somehow expected to manage it on top of my own expenses. I imagine him sitting in my parents' house in his house now stewing in entitlement. The certified letter arrives exactly 3 months after I stopped payments. Though addressed to my parents, they forward a photo of it to my email with the subject line, "See what you've done." The bank's letterhead is crisp and formal, the message beneath it clinical. Notice of default. I've been expecting this, but seeing it in official print sends a small shiver through me. My phone rings immediately after I open the email. My mother, of course. The bank says we're in default, she hisses without preamble. They're going to take the house. I hear my father in the background, his voice rising. Put it on speaker. A click, then his voice comes through clearly. You need to transfer $12,000 immediately to cover the missed payments and late fees. I don't have $12,000 to give you, I say, which isn't entirely true. I do have savings, now substantial savings, for the first time in my adult life. You work at Harper & Stein. We know what they pay. My father's voice trembles with anger. Fix this by tomorrow or don't consider yourself our daughter. The threat hangs between us for a moment. I feel a curious sense of calm wash over me. I haven't been your daughter for years, I say softly. I've been your investment. I end the call before they can respond. The Facebook notification appears while I'm in a meeting at work. When I check it during a break, my stomach drops. Logan has tagged me in a post. My sister at Audrey Chem is trying to make my pregnant fiancé homeless. Share if you think family should come before agreed. There are already 23 comments, most expressing shock and disapproval. I scan through them quickly, recognizing names from high school, distant relatives, family friends people who have no idea what's really happening. My aunt has shared it, adding, "Family obligation is sacred. Shame on you, Audrey." 3 crying emojis follow her judgment. My phone buzzes with a text from Beth, my high school friend. "Hey, are you okay? Your brother is telling everyone you've had a mental breakdown. I'm worried about you." I set my phone down and take a deep breath. Part of me wants to respond publicly, to lay out every mortgage payment, every extra dollar that disappeared into my parents' pockets, every sacrifice I made for their comfort. The receipts I could post would silence them all. Instead, I block Logan on Facebook and adjust my privacy settings. Their public shaming attempt only strengthens my resolve. "You've made remarkable progress," Samantha says, sliding the financial statement across her desk. 6 months have passed since I stopped mortgage payments, and my bi-weekly meetings with my financial planner have become a cherished ritual. I scanned the document, still not quite believing the numbers. "Is this right? I've saved nearly $25,000 already?" She nods, her professional demeanor softening with a smile. "And your credit score has increased by 48 points since we started the recovery plan. You're on track to qualify for your own mortgage within 18 months. My own mortgage. My own home." The thought sends a jolt of excitement through me. "Let's look at neighborhoods within your target price range," she suggests, turning her monitor so I can see. "Based on your savings rate and the current market, I think these areas would be ideal starting points." I lean forward, studying the map with growing excitement. For the first time, I'm planning for my future, not subsidizing someone else's. When I leave her office, my step is lighter than it has been in years. The foreclosure notice arrives exactly 6 months after my last payment. I don't see it myself. My parents make sure I know about it through a barrage of increasingly frantic calls. "Foreclosure." My mother whispers the word like a diagnosis. "The bank is taking the house in 90 days if the payments aren't brought current. That's $18,400 now." I'm at work when the calls become hourly. I finally silence my phone during a client meeting, only to emerge and find 3 voicemails from Logan's fiancé. "We're about to have a baby." Her voice trembles. "Please help us, Audrey. We have nowhere else to go." I'm drafting a gentle but firm response when my assistant buzzes my office intercom. "Ms. Chen, your father is here. He's quite insistent about seeing you." My heart pounds as I thank her and ask her to tell him I'm in a meeting. I've never told my colleagues about my family situation. The shame kept me silent even as I built a wall between my work life and personal chaos. But the wall comes crashing down as my father's voice echoes down the hallway, growing louder as he approaches my office. "I need to see my daughter. She can't hide from her responsibilities." I freeze, hand hovering over my keyboard. Through my office window, I see the commotion in the hallway. My father, red-faced and disheveled, confronting our office security guard. "Sir, you need to leave," the guard insists firmly. "Miss Chen is unavailable." "Ungrateful child!" my father shouts as the security guard escorts him toward the elevator. "After everything we've done for you!" I sink into my chair, mortification washing over me. My carefully constructed professional image shattered in an instant. A knock at my door makes me jump. It's Samuel Russell, my boss, his expression concerned rather than angry. "Audrey," he says, closing the door behind him, "I understand now what you've been dealing with." I open my mouth to apologize, to explain, to do damage control, but he shakes his head. "Take the rest of the day." "And Audrey?" He pauses at the door. "Whatever's happening with your family, don't let it derail what you've built here. You've earned your place." As the door closes behind him, I realize something fundamental has shifted. The foreclosure process has begun, and my family is facing the consequences of their actions. But for the first time in my adult life, I'm not drowning in guilt about it. I am saving from my own house now, and no one can take that from me. The text sits on my phone screen like a victory flag. Final notice. Property at 1423 Oakwood Lane scheduled for repossession in 7 days. 8 months since I stopped payments, and the wheels of justice have finally completed their slow turn. My mother's response arrives minutes later. We have 30 days to vacate. Are you happy now? I stare at her words, testing them against the knot in my stomach. Am I happy? No. Relieved? Maybe. The house, their house, never mine, despite the $170,000 I poured into it, will soon belong to the bank. I don't answer her texts. 3 days later, another message arrives, this one from my father. Logan and Melissa are moving in with us. The apartment is half the size of the house. I hope you're satisfied seeing your family suffer. I close my eyes, breathe deep, and delete it without responding. The charity auction buzzes with conversation, crystal glasses clinking as Metro Atlanta's financial elite bid on weekend getaways and designer handbags. I'm here representing Harper & Stein, my firm's logo pinned to my lapel. This is the first time I've attended a community event where I might encounter family acquaintances since the foreclosure. Audrey, is that you? Mrs. Patel, my mother's friend from their book club, approaches with a flute of champagne. I straighten my shoulders, preparing for judgment. How are you, dear? It's been ages. Her smile seems genuine, not the tight grimace I expected. I'm well, thank you. My voice comes out steadier than I anticipated. Mrs. Patel glances around before leaning closer. I heard about the house situation. Such a shame. You know Logan refused to get a second job to help with the payments? My eyebrows lift. He did? She nods, pearl earrings swinging. At the last book club before your mother moved, she was complaining about the foreclosure, and Debbie Lou asked why Logan couldn't step up. Your mother said he told them, "That's what sisters are for. She can afford it." The words land like stones in my stomach. Melissa's parents confronted him about it, Mrs. Patel continues. They're not happy he's moving into their guest room with a newborn and still buying those expensive gaming systems. I swallow hard, processing this confirmation of what I'd suspected all along. You did the right thing, dear. Mrs. Patel pats my arm. Some lessons need to be learned the hard way. The phone store smells of plastic and cleaning solution. I tap my credit card against the counter while the technician sets up my new number. All done, he says, sliding my phone across the counter. Your old number is officially disconnected. Thank you. The words come out almost as a whisper. Outside, I stand in the spring sunshine, holding my phone with its blissfully empty message inbox. No more texts demanding money. No more midnight calls about broken appliances. No more guilt-laden voicemails. For the first time in years, my Sunday stretches before me, peaceful and uninterrupted. To Audrey's freedom. Mia raises her wine glass, the candlelight catching in the ruby liquid. Jennifer and 2 other friends from work echo the toast, glasses clinking around our table at Marcello's, the Italian restaurant I could never afford when I was paying for my parents' house. I never thought I'd see the day, Jennifer says, squeezing my hand. You deserve this. It still feels strange, I admit, like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. That feeling fades, Jennifer promises. One day you'll wake up and realize your first thought isn't about them anymore. Their face as supportive, proud, celebratory reflect back a version of myself I'm still learning to recognize. Audrey unshackled. I'm learning that no is a complete sentence, I tell Dr. Hayes during our therapy session. I don't need to justify it or apologize for it. She nods, making a note on her pad. How does that feel? Terrifying, I admit, and liberating. Freedom often feels that way at first, she says. Like any new muscle, boundary setting gets stronger with use. 6 months of financial independence stretch behind me, each day a brick in the wall I've built between myself and financial exploitation. My spreadsheets now track growth instead of loss. This property has great potential, the real estate agent says, gesturing to the kitchen with its outdated cabinets but solid countertops. The neighborhood has appreciated 12% in the last 3 years. I run my hand along the countertop, imagining morning coffee here. This 2-bedroom townhouse costs less than half what I paid for my parents' house. The down payment sits ready in my account money, saved during months of freedom from their financial demands. The owners are motivated sellers, she continues. Your pre-approval letter puts you in a strong position. I look out the window at the small patio garden. Mine. Truly mine if I decide to make an offer. I'd like to think about it overnight, I tell her. Later, I compare this property to the other two I've toured this week. My spreadsheet shows the recovery plan I created after the foreclosure is working ahead of schedule. The pre-approval letter from Summit Bank deliberately chosen because it's not the bank my parents used sits beside my laptop. I open my journal to record today's entry, flipping past 6 months of entries tracking my journey to independence. My hand hovers over the blank page, and I finally write the words I've been afraid to acknowledge. Today, I realized I'm not just financially stable. I'm thriving. The fortress of boundaries I've built protects something precious, the life I deserve. I close the journal and picture a home that's truly mine. For the first time, the image brings a smile instead of fear. The key feels different in my palm as I slide it into the lock lighter. Somehow, mine. The door swings open to reveal hardwood floors that gleam in the afternoon light. Not the expensive engineered hardwood from the house I paid for, but never owned. This is the real thing, with character marks and slight imperfections that make it perfect. Home, I whisper, the word unfamiliar on my tongue. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a kitchen with countertops that aren't marble but clean laminate. The mortgage is exactly what I can afford on my own terms. No one else's name appears on a single document. The memory of move-in day floods back Jennifer and Mia, hauling boxes up the front steps, sweat dampening their shirts as they laughed about my book collection. Do you really need 12 finance textbooks? Mia had teased, nearly dropping a particularly heavy box. My boss Sam, surprising me with a toolbox. Every homeowner needs one, and staying late to assemble my bed frame. People who wanted nothing from me but my happiness. I trace my fingers along the mantel where a simple frame sits. Freedom. Established 2023. It reads, an elegant script, a housewarming gift from Mia, placed there during the party last weekend. Glasses clinked, genuine congratulations flowed, and for the first time in years, I felt surrounded by people who saw not my wallet or what I could provide, but me. No design choices vetted through my mother. No budget adjustments to accommodate my father's expensive taste. Just mine, in this peaceful neighborhood where neighbors wave when I jog past their homes in the morning. 3 months of peace passed like a dream, until the doorbell rings on a quiet Sunday afternoon. My stomach drops before I even reach the peephole. Some part of me has been waiting, bracing for this moment. I recognize the shadows on my porch, the particular way they stand close but not touching. My mother's shoulders squared, my father's height towering beside her. I consider not answering. The thought flits through my mind like a sparrow, quick, darting, ultimately futile. They've seen my car in the driveway. I open the door, and the familiar tension claws its way back into my shoulders. Audrey, my mother's voice is bright, brittle as spun sugar. What a lovely home you have. My father's eyes sweep across the porch, the freshly painted shutters, the modest landscaping. Must have cost a pretty penny, he says, the calculation evident in his gaze. Thank you, I say, the words clipped. Then, because some habits die harder than others, I step aside. Would you like to come in? They enter my space like inspectors, noting everything, touching surfaces, making small comments that dig under my skin. These countertops are interesting, my mother says, running her finger along the edge. Solid construction? My father nods approvingly at the ceiling. Good investment. I make coffee in silence, setting out the mugs I bought at a local pottery studio. My mother comments on their unique appearance or code for not expensive enough. So, my father says finally, settling into my sofa, one I saved for 6 months to buy. Your brother's fiancé is expecting again. And there it is. The preamble complete. The real purpose revealed. They need more space, my mother adds, stirring sugar into her coffee. The apartment is getting cramped with the baby. Logan's trying, of course, she continues, though we both know this is a lie. But with his situation. My father leans forward, elbows on knees, the posture he adopts when he's about to close a deal. We've been thinking about getting a house again. I take a slow sip of coffee, burning my tongue slightly. The pain keeps me present. Similar to the last one, actually. He doesn't need to specify which house he means, the one I paid for. the one they gave away. His voice drops into the practiced tone he uses for important declarations. As the successful one in the family, you have a responsibility. Your brother has his hands full with the baby, and another on the way. He can't possibly manage what you can. My mother nods vigorously. We found a nice 3-bedroom, not too expensive. She pulls out her phone, swipes to display a listing. Only $450,000. With your salary at Harper & Stein, you could easily afford the payments. The coffee mug warms my palms as I set it down carefully on the coaster. I look at them both really, look at Thiemann, see the expectation in their eyes. The certainty that I'll fall in line, that I'll open my wallet, that I'll say yes because I always have. No, I say. The syllable hangs in the air, simple and irrevocable. My parents exchange glances, confusion clouding their features as though I've suddenly started speaking a language they don't understand. What do you mean, no? My mother asks, her voice rising slightly. I mean no. My voice remains steady. I will not be buying another house for you or for Logan. But we're family. My mother's eyes widen. Family helps each other. After all we sacrificed raising you, my father adds, his tone heavy with practiced guilt. Your education, your opportunities. I paid that debt for 4 years, I interrupt. The account is closed. My father's face darkens. This isn't like you, Audrey. You've always been the responsible one. I still am, I say, responsible to myself now. My mother's coffee sits untouched, cooling. Is this because of the last house? We explained why Logan needed it more. This isn't about the house, though, of course it is, in all the ways that matter. This is about recognizing a pattern and choosing not to repeat it. My father stands abruptly. You'll regret turning your back on family, he says, his voice low and threatening. When you're alone with just your things and your money, you'll see what really matters. I rise too, surprising myself with how calm I feel. I regret it took me so long to see clearly. I walk them to the door, my steps measured. They pause on the threshold, clearly expecting me to change my mind, to call them back, to cave as I've always done. Instead, I watch their faces as the realization dawns. This isn't temporary. This isn't a negotiation. This is final. You'll come crawling back when you need a family. My father spits, his face flushing dark with anger. Money can't hold your hand when you're sick. My mother's expression hardens. After everything we've done for you, she whispers, the words like ice. Your own brother's children will grow up without knowing their aunt. I don't flinch. That will be Logan's choice to explain, not mine. The door closes with a soft click that echoes like thunder in my chest. I stand with my palm flat against the wood, feeling the boundary I've created a solid, real, mine. On the other side, I hear my father's raised voice, my mother's sharp response. Their footsteps retreat down the walkway, car doors slam, an engine starts. And then, silence. The quiet of my home truly, mine wraps around me like a blanket as I turn away from the door, from the past, and walk back into the life I've built for myself. Sunlight streams through windows that are mine alone. 1 year after closing the door on my parents, my home has become a sanctuary. The walls, painted the sage green I chose, hold framed photos from my trip to Portugal, my first real vacation in 7 years. No spreadsheets tracking other people's debts. No overtime to fund someone else's life. I run my fingers along the spines of books I now have time to read. My promotion came through last month, Senior Director of Financial Analysis. My boss cited my newfound focus and confidence in the recommendation letter. You've been hiding your light under a bushel, she said during the announcement. It's good to finally meet the real Audrey. The real Audrey. I'm still discovering her myself. My phone buzzes with a delivery notification. The packages for Logan's children have arrived. I've never met my niece and nephew in person, but I send birthday and Christmas gifts directly to them. The college funds I established are locked until they turn 18. No parents can redirect that money. My lawyer made sure of it. You don't owe them anything, Mia insisted when I mentioned setting up the accounts. I'm not doing it out of obligation, I told her. The kids didn't betray me. A text from Melissa, Logan's wife now, lights up my screen. Thank you for the science kit. Ellie loves it. When you're ready, we'd love for you to meet them. I don't respond immediately. Boundaries require constant vigilance. But I save the message instead of deleting it. Maybe someday. My doorbell rings at exactly noon. Grandmother Chen stands on my porch, her silver hair neat under a wide-brimmed hat. Our monthly coffee date. The first few words strained her initial accusations still rang in my ears. Today, she brings almond cookies from the bakery near her apartment. Your cousin Timothy called me yesterday, she says as I pour tea. Your father has been asking him for money. Something about an investment opportunity. I don't react. The shock has long faded. I was wrong about you, Audrey, she continues, stirring honey into her cup. They've tried the same with all the cousins. I just didn't want to see it. Her admission doesn't heal everything, but it soothes a wound I'd stopped noticing. My phone pings with an email from Mrs. Hernandez, our former neighbor for 20 years. Your mother approached us for a loan last week. I remembered what they did to you. Are you doing okay? Family friends who witnessed my parents' pattern are reaching out one by one. Their messages form a constellation of validation I never expected. At 5 o'clock, I lock my office door. The framed calligraphy on my wall catches the late afternoon light. Giving should be freely chosen, never coerced. My manifesto, written the day I moved into my house. Below, it hangs my professional certifications and a photo of the community center where I lead weekly workshops. Dr. Hayes, my therapist, joins me for the walk to tonight's session. Her gray eyes are kind behind practical glasses. How do you feel about the anniversary? She asks, referring to 1 year since I moved into my own home. I consider the question carefully. Lighter. She nods. That's what happens when you set down burdens that were never yours to carry. At the door to the community center, she pauses. You know, Audrey, you didn't lose family. You gained yourself. Inside, 12 people wait in a circle of chairs. My financial boundaries workshop has grown from 3 hesitant participants to a waitlisted program. Today, a young woman, with exhaustion etched around her eyes, shares how her parents expect her to fund their retirement while she can barely afford rent. They say I'm being selfish, she whispers. No one is entitled to your financial success, I tell her, the words flowing easily now. Setting boundaries isn't about punishing others, it's about protecting yourself. The group nods. Many have lived variations of my story. We're building a different kind of family hero based on mutual respect rather than exploitation. For Thanksgiving this year, I'm hosting dinner. Not for blood relatives, but for the people who stood by me. Mia, who first validated my anger. Jennifer from work, who shared her own family's financial manipulation. My neighbor, who checks my mail when I travel. People who respect my boundaries and ask for what they need without demanding what I have. Back home, I open my journal, the leather cover worn from daily use. Today marks exactly 1 year since I moved into this house. I write, I never realized peace could feel this complete. The price of freedom was high, but worth every penny. Today, I choose who gets my time, my energy, and yes, my money. Family isn't who demands the most from you. It's who respects what you choose to give. Beyond my window, the sky darkens into evening. No anxiety tightens my chest at the thought of tomorrow. No dread of the next financial demand. Just the quiet certainty that whatever comes, I'll face it on my terms. This is what freedom feels like. Audrey's journey from financial exploitation to freedom required tremendous courage. What would you have done differently? Was cutting off contact too extreme, or the only way to break the cycle? What financial boundaries do you maintain with your own family? 1. Complete separation like Audrey. 2. Helping with true emergencies only. 3. Regular support with clear limits. 4. Full financial integration with family. Share your thoughts and your own stories in the comments. Have you ever had to set difficult boundaries with loved ones? How did it change your life?